All right, welcome back here. This week we're talking about buying smart and the fine line between your instinct and what data tells you, and how much of a deal comes down to what your gut tells you and how much should be backed by the numbers and the data.
Exactly. I think that data is great to look at. Demographics are great to look at, but really, does your instinct have more weight, or do the numbers? Let's see.
Hopefully, our guts are getting smarter here. So, Kyle and I are going to be looking at the same property with the same information given to us, but we have not seen this property yet. So,
And I'm excited to get to go against Brandon and see how I look at a property versus how he looks at a property, and see if we both are aligned. And if we're not, well, we have other meetings after this that we're gonna have to get into. Hopefully, we're right on.
yep. So today we're going to utilize our gut and our feelings versus true data. And Kyle, where do you think we're going to align?
I think we've both been looking at similar properties for so long and know what our box is. We might look at them in a different way, but I think we know our box. So if it fits, it's going to fit. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I think we'll probably be pretty close.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll be aligned, but you never know. Let's see. This will be interesting.
All right.
So let's get into it.
Okay.
Let's look at this deal here. We've got a something on Western Avenue, 201 Northwestern. Western is a big vein running through Los Angeles all the way to San Pedro, so I'm familiar with the road. Let's take a look at the offering memorandum here. Looks like it's on a corner. I got 8 tenants on here, okay. Looks like a small little site. I would say already red flags with limited parking. I know Western has a lot of traffic, so I'm sure that'll be nice. Built in 1981, a single story. We've got a 10,000 square foot center. They're asking 9.3 million. Seems a little pricey. First off, price per square foot is a big one for me. Just looking at the property, I want to see how big it is, what are they asking, see if we're even in the ballpark, but that can be all negotiable. Then I'm going to dive into just some rent rolls. I want to see if we have immediate turnover. Let's say I even like the property. I want to see if we can turn over rents quickly in the near term, 1, 2, 3 years. They've got a current NOI or current income from rental rate, 440 grand. They say pro forma, looks like we can bump that up like 150 grand or something. So we need to see what they're claiming can be done here. They've got an initial going in cap rate of 4.2%. That's pretty tight. So going in cap versus pro forma to be, if they calc this out for you, hopefully they do. If not, I try and do a quick calculation, a 200 basis point lift on that. That to me just says, okay, this deal's got some legs on it. I'm looking at price per square foot, of course the area and stuff, but let's not even talk about that. And then I'm looking at, can we bump these rents? And how quickly can I get from a 4.2 to a 5.8 cap that they're claiming here? So I'll jump right into the rent roll here. Rents, knowing Los Angeles, this one says it's maybe like Silver Lake, East Hollywood area. I would assume rents are, in some of those areas are going to be a little higher than this, but $4 or $5 maybe. Right now we're sitting at 3, 4, 3, 3, 2. So you got some 2. So there's a few there. Lease expirations. Here's more important to me right now. Now that I see, okay, maybe there's some bumps here that we can do. You've got a guy exiting this year. We've got one that's already expired. I'd like to hear a story on that. Is that month to month at this point? 2028, a couple of those. Another one that's expired, and one for next year, end of next year. Another one into 2027. So it looks like we can turn over quite a bit of them. So where's the NOI bump coming from? It must just be getting new leases in place, what they're claiming as potentially market. They're claiming quite a bit on market. So I'd like to justify that, and I'd reach out to leasing brokers to see if that's really possible. We're really focused, being on the value add side, we're really focused on our return on cost. So return on cost being, what is the future NOI divided by cost to purchase the property and put it in the renovations. So that's a metric that we're focused on a lot here, because we are putting reinvestment into these properties, whether it's construction, design, leasing commissions, giving people tenant improvement allowance, and we want to be at kind of an 8% at a minimum on that. On the surface, I don't think I like it. I just don't know the area well enough. I think Western is a good street, but I think these start to get into these kind of mom and pop neighborhoods, and I think we're kind of off the beaten path here. We're in central LA. Hollywood, East Hollywood, south of that. I mean, probably a super dense area. I imagine Western has crazy traffic counts too, which is important if we're starting to get into the micro demographics of this thing. Obviously, super dense. I mean, 120,000 people within, 130,000 people within 2 miles, 1.2 million in 10. Like, I mean, you're in the middle of Los Angeles here. So my only concern with this property is being able to justify those rents. And what would be the amount of investment we need to put into that to get to those rents? And who really wants to be here? Are we going to get any national tenant action? Is there anybody that's a credit tenant that would be interested in this? If not, we're going to just release to all mom and pop. That's not a bad thing, but I'd like to understand that. Is this an area that people are moving into? Is it an area, like as in new tenants, new retail? Again, Western I know is a super busy road. But my first take on it would be that this is mom and pop. It probably stays mom and pop. But not that that's a bad thing, but I think you'd have trouble possibly justifying these rents. And then what's the cost to get to those rents? I don't see anywhere in the OM that they're accounting for putting any renovation in there. And so that to me would say we're not even at a 200 basis point jump with just pro forma rents, not even factoring in, putting in some CapEx, leasing commissions, giving tenant improvement allowance away. We haven't even started talking about that. So to me, I think the deal's a little bit skinny. Let's run a quick equation here. Why don't we do our return on cost and just pretend that we need to put in $50 a foot here. Future NOI with $590,000. Divided by, what do we think we can buy this thing for? Let's say we got to be all in at $10 million. Simple math tells me that we're only a 5% return on cost, so it's a little bit skinny for us. If we had to put in $1 million, which I think it needs some attention, at least putting in some leasing commissions to release the thing, because it's obviously some turnover coming up. Unfortunately, this deal's a pass for us. I think it's a little too skinny, but it hits some of our metrics. Turnover in the near term, checks the box. Busy road, checks the box. Dense areas, checks the box. In need of rehab, checks the box. So I think on the surface it looks great, but when we dive into the details, I'm going to say it's a pass for us in this office. So hopefully that was helpful. Devil's in the details.
So first thing I'll look at is the OM. So this is on market, I'm assuming, because there's an OM here. Prime commercial property, Los Angeles, 10,794 square feet. And then there's some photos. Well, parking looks tight. It's ugly, son of a gun. So that's kind of what we look for. We look for stuff that is this ugly because we want to renovate it and make it better. It's between Western and Beverly. So first thing I do is I want to just take a look at the property and look at the location and what's it around. That's it. Basically just take a look. I don't want to look at any numbers yet. I just want to kind of see it. I know that's the opposite of a lot of groups. They want to look at the numbers first, but I just want to look at what the thing looks like. Built in 1981. This is all kind of basic stuff for California. Listing price $936. Okay, current rent versus pro forma rent. Oh, broker's favorite trick. So going in cap is a 4.2. So that is about as low as it's possibly going to get. I mean, that's pretty wild. And then pro forma is 5.8. That's just, those are just kind of reach numbers. There's no way to actually achieve that without paying leasing commissions, paying tenant improvement allowance, paying renovation costs, capital expenditures, all these things to get from, it says right here, $392,000 in NOI to $546. There's no way you buy this and then just all of a sudden just raise all the rents with just like that, and now you're sitting here with 150 basis points more than you bought it for. This is not going to happen. Listing price 9.3. If you took a calculator and you had $392,411 and you divided it by market, a 6.5 cap, some place in the country 7. You're looking at $6 million property and they're asking 9.3. So some of these rents are already jacked already. And you have a bunch of mom and pop, 378, 424, 386, $3, 316. The rents are already really high, but they have 3 tenants that are 219, 268. And one's 451. So your rents are already above $3 a square foot, some in the fours, so there's just not much juice there. The thing's already ugly as hell and they're already paying that. I mean, you could renovate the hell out of it, but I'm surprised that they're getting these rents already when it's in such bad shape. Lease expirations 27, 26, 24, 24, 28, 28, 28. So you have some turn. You have some rents that are expiring or already expired when you acquire it. You only have 3. So there's some positives about this. Okay, so that's the end of the OM. So I'm looking at the demographics. 14 surface parking spots available. That's pretty tight. That's 1 per 1,000. It's in the middle of Koreatown, which is a really nice area for retail, and there's very low vacancy. So that's one of the things we do look for is vacancy rate. When you're looking at places like this in LA, where you're looking at 2 to 3% vacancy, I mean, it's so dense that retail's in very high demand. In basic economics, buying something that's in high demand, you're not going to have trouble leasing it out. Something we always look for based on the type of center. If it's a strip center like this, 10,000 square feet in a neighborhood, we look at the 1 mile demographics. 1 mile demographics, 36,000 people within 1 mile is pretty good. You look at average household income, 75,000. That's pretty good. When you look at 3 mile, people will travel that way to get to a grocery anchored center, but a strip center like this is neighborhood, so it's within 1 mile. And then power centers or anything bigger with a Target or Walmart, things like that, we look at the 5 mile demographics. So for this, the 1 mile looks strong. 902 million consumer spending. So it hits all the demographics that we would likely look for. Preliminary DD templates. So this is what I have. 2 wonderful people in the office, Chloe and Taylor. They put together all of this. Can't really analyze a property without this. So these are about 3.5, a little bit less than 3. So kind of almost already what they're getting. You have one that's 54. It's kind of an outlier, $54 a square foot. I guess that's a restaurant. They want $9 million for 10, so they want $900 a square foot, which the comps around the area about $450 a square foot. Let's go through the overview. Price per square foot, $867. That was off by a little bit. Cap rates of 4.2. I know a lot of people in this business don't care about cap rates when they're going in. It's only about what they can bring them to. That sometimes is difficult for me, or difficult, depends on your financing. If you're buying all cash, which is fantastic if you can do that. If you're putting leverage on it from day one, that cap rate can matter. The one other step I would take is call the broker. You want to call the broker and find out, why they're selling, understand this story. But when you have something that's so overpriced like this, and the most you can't even, with all the work you need to do to it to get the rents up, you couldn't even get it to a 6 cap. That's something I'm obviously leaning towards probably passing on. This is just like gut instinct that they're already getting decent rents. So 10,000 square foot strip, 10,700 square foot strip in Koreatown on Western in the Silver Lake submarket. There's a lot of positives. I mean, a ton of positives. It's a nice piece of real estate in general. It looks horrible, but that's what we do is fix it up, and you could renovate this and fix it up. But the parking is extremely tight. It's something we always look for, especially with restaurants. So getting new restaurant concepts permitted would be very, very difficult. 2, you have tenants in there. You have a third of them that have long-term leases. 3, I believe their rents are already pretty high. I don't think there's a lot of juice. It's not like these people are paying $1.50, $2, and the market says $4. They're paying $354, and the market says $354. So I don't think there's a lot of juice left. I think it's a great center. I think it's overpriced by $2 to $3 million. And I think if this was something we found off market where we knew the seller personally, and then we would try to buy it for $6 to $7 million. But at what it currently is now, close to $900 a square foot, I just think you have to put some money into this, at least $100 a square foot probably, to get it up to where it needs to be, looking nice. So, yep, I think that's a pass. Okay, we're back, and we took a look at the deal and all the information that Taylor and Chloe set up for us. What were your thoughts on it?
It was interesting. I was looking at it right at first. I was going off gut instinct because I get to see some pretty pictures and without even knowing the area. Funny because I know Western Avenue, so I know, hey, this is like a main vein going from San Pedro all the way through LA. So I'm thinking, okay, but I also know it gets a little seedy on that road a little bit too. So my gut was telling me, based on Western and the pictures, kind of already made my decision up. I wanted to dive into the details and confirm.
So when I first looked at it, I'm thinking 10,000 square feet, Koreatown, Western Avenue, Beverly Road, and so the location I thought was great. I thought the size is right where we want it to be. I thought parking was really tight. I thought that the leases, you have most that actually expire coming up, but the rent they're paying per square foot is already pretty top of the market. I saw about somewhere in $4 square foot, $3.50. I know at certain properties we've gotten $55, $60 a square foot, but when something's already at $48 to $50, I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. And the price was almost $900 a square foot. So I was like, I liked the real estate, the location, so many things about it, but I was like, I don't know how to make money with this. So I passed.
Interesting. Yeah. So I wasn't a huge fan of the area right at first because I was like, I don't know exactly this East Hollywood kind of submarket, but I just started scrolling down. I was immediately, okay, there's definitely renovation costs. I keep driving in. I'm going right for like the rent rolls too. Like, do we have near-term expirations coming? And like, what are their current rates? And I saw $4, over $4, threes, twos, some expirations coming, maybe 6 or 7 of them within the next 2 years. So, okay, hey, checking all the boxes here. But price per square foot was like off the charts. And I saw it as like a mom and pop. And so I was like, okay, they're already paying for something tippy top. Would a national tenant even go into something like this? Because looking at the parking, I'm like, we love these food users, right? Parking was super tight, price per square foot up there. And I ran a quick return on cost model based on their performer rents. And it was like a 5.5% or 6% return on cost, putting in $1 million. The math wasn't mathing for me. So I think parking was super tight. But yeah, good size. Like I know the traffic counts would have been crazy on Western up there. So definitely checked a lot of boxes, but not enough.
It was a good deal to do this with because it checked a ton of boxes, but it wasn't. We can't buy anything at a 4.5 cap when there's no room to grow. Now I don't like to look at cap rates just at cap rates when we go buy something. We bought Western Plaza, property in PV. That thing was like a 4.5 cap because it was half vacant.
True, yeah.
It doesn't really matter because they're almost like ground up developments. We're just trying to get all the tenants out of there and redo the entire thing. However, the exit cap is something I do look at. And when that is only at a 5, there's just not a lot of juice there.
And that price per square foot, if you got to put $1 million in, whether it's leasing commissions, TIA, something to drive that renovation, it needs to be upgraded. Now we're over $1,000 a square foot going into this thing. Like, can we exit more than that? Maybe. I don't know, but.
What price would you have bought it for?
Well, I mean, we need, like, again, it checked a lot of those boxes too, right? It was like, oh, it's like near-term rents expirations, needs value add, busy road, like dense market. It like checked all these boxes, but I would need that thing to probably cash flow. So we got to buy that at like a 6.5 cap or something going in. And otherwise I wouldn't trust it. So what does that bring that to? Like 7 million, 6.5 million?
So I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I took the current NOI. I had it at a 6.5 cap, trying to go in and it was 6 million. So
that's what it's worth to me.
That's the exact same.
It
number.
needs some love, and like you gotta invest in that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, somehow they're getting, $4, like $50 plus rents, 55 even.
Yeah.
With the way it's sitting today, so.
Ugly.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean,
but like to me, you're just gonna lease it out to the same type of mom and pops.
Yeah,
I don't think you're getting any nationals, and that's a nice metric. It's not a absolute requirement, but it is nice to know that there's like a national tenant that would have interest in a site like that. That's a nice checkbox, whether you make a deal with them or not. But that to me is like, okay, it's a good location. I don't know if anyone wanted to be in that place. So
yeah, I agree. A lot of developers look at just price per pound when it comes to buying these types of things.
Yeah.
And that price per pound was high.
Well, yeah, that will never pencil out for you.
That'll never pencil out. So. But I thought it was fun. I kind of want to do another one.
That was super cool. And glad to know that Kyle and I are aligned on this stuff because we're saying the same things, maybe in different words, but came to the same conclusion.
Same conclusion.
That was pretty fun.
Cool.
Good.
All right, what else you got for us?